wanted to do a quick video about some fakes. I just had the unfortunate privilege of giving somebody the bad news of that their great deal on the Jem that they just bought is not such a great deal. I'm not a Ch-Ibanez Jem expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I am kind of well steeped in the Chibson, Chinder, Ch-Ibanez, let's say that. Those guys, man, they leave their fingerprint just so blatantly in your face. It's almost like, I don't know. Yeah, one of those things. So anyway, on with the show. So this here Jem, and I'll bring the headstock to you. You know, it's shiny, man. It's very pretty, but there are several things. And the neck has got the couple of walnut laminates. So at first glance, looks decent. There's a bunch of things that stuck out to me right away. The first thing, the bridge is just all cattywampus. And now, granted, this is a brand new guitar. The guy just bought this and got a smoking deal on it. He only paid $1,000 for it. I'm so sorry. I think these things run for like, I don't know, 22, 23, 2,400 bucks, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm not in that market, but the first thing I noticed, I mean, he brought it in for the tremolo, and the trim is just all cattywampus and jacked up. And I'm thinking, well, for a brand new guitar, they sure didn't give a care in the world about that. But I started noticing little stuff like the edge of this pick guard is like ready to just gig you, right? And all over the pick guard, it's got a really steep angle. The switch, it's like they cut it with a hacksaw at the very last minute and said, oh crap, we forgot to put a switch in there. And the one thing I know, the Jems that I have seen, the fit and finish was actually astonishing, you know, because I was highly offended when I first heard that an Ch-Ibanez could cost 2,400 bucks or whatever. But if you see one and hold one, you're like, wait a minute, this is real craftsmanship, you know? So I'm a student of that, so I can see that right off. So I took it out of the case. I see these couple of things right off. The DiMarzio to me looks weird too. I mean, they didn't misspell it, which is fortunate. But I don't know that I've seen the DiMarzios that actually have the name on them, but I've never seen it that big and bold. And it looks like it's painted on there. All the screws are not seated in the pick guard. They're kind of crooked, you know, here and there, just like somebody randomly ran them in with a screwdriver. But here was the biggest thing that I saw when I took it out of the case and I was fitting covers all day yesterday by hand. On one of the custom bases I just got done with, I am custom fitting the bean, you know, to go on the back of it, and all those wax pencil marks are, you know, where I have to take a little bit off here, a little bit off there, and, you know, it probably took me an hour to fit the dang thing on there. And I look at this, and I'm like, man, what did they do to that? Now, I think I'm probably getting a glare in the camera, but you can see how that is just chopped. And this little, I guess it's battery one, it just is a wackadoo, man. And the screws are all cattywampus in there, however they could get them in there. Like last minute thing, like, oh, forgot to put the cover on. So anyway, I am 90%, not 90%, I'm 100% sure that it's a fake. I know that Ch-Ibanez loves their name, and those little plastic white things on the back of the tuner that is, you know, basically will come off. They're kind of a protective plastic. They've engraved right through that, exposed the gold underneath. But if you take the white thing off, there will be no mark on it. So you know that ain't an Ch-Ibanez way. Tuners are totally junk. And you see how this string retainer is hanging over the edge. Oop. I don't know if you can see it on which side, but it's just sticking out like a sore thumb on either side. Oh, I got the angle totally wrong, my bad. Right there, you see how the bar just hangs out into space on both sides. It's like, dang, dude, that thing doesn't even fit. It's huge. So anyway, it does look impressive from afar. All of the gold is a different color, which is kind of weird. And again, Ibanez, man, the quality of Ibanez has come up. Well, no, it's always been good, except in their cheap, you know, $200 instruments. The inlays are the abalone ones. If you could see, where are we looking at? Oh, you're looking at that one. Okay, so what I'm seeing when I look in that is a thick acrylic piece with a thin sheet of power on the back of it. So to me, it looks like that's 1/8 of an inch deep, which it is. All of these are. And the inlay folks that I deal with do all kind of acrylic. They do all kind of shell. They make the ablam stuff. And they sent me a bunch of samples, and they sent a bunch of those. They're thick acrylic, and they have a thin layer of power behind them. And I'm thinking, why would I use that? Because, well, I know why. Because a sheet of power, even the ablam, man, I think it's like $200 for a sheet that, you know, is 60 thousandths thick or something, that you can actually cut and do inlays with and have a nice abalone. You know, that's what we all use for abalone purfling and binding and inlays and all that stuff. But you can tell when it's right at the surface. And polishing shell to a high gloss is, you know, it's hard enough. But polishing acrylic is, you know, that's plastic. You really gotta work that stuff to get it shiny. So that's probably, in my opinion, be a little more work than the actual shell. But anyway, not here for all of that. I just wanted to buyer beware, I reckon. I feel bad for this guy. I told him I'm going to try to set it up the best I can. You know, he wants to go really light on the strings and get a really light action. And I'm like, well, dude, the action right now, it's got 9s on it. And it has minimal relief in the neck, but there is relief. And the action's on the medium high side, and it buzzes all over. So I'm like, you know, normally with the cheaper guitars, if somebody, you know, if they bring in a Squire or, you know, let's just say an Ibanez, the cheaper one, $250, you know, Guitar Center deal. What I'll do is I'll do a hammer fret job, which basically I'll rock the entire fingerboard. If those of you that do fret work will know what I'm talking about. The rest of you are like, what's this guy talking about? But I don't know if I've done a video on rocking the frets, but if I haven't, there are lots of them out there. You rock every 3 frets together in every playing position. And if you get a rock or a teeter on that, that fret is high and it's going to buzz if you get the action, you know, in the lower zone. So basically, normally we would file that, then you have to polish it. So in a $200, $300 guitar, you don't want to do a $150 fret job, crown, level, dress, that whole 9. So what I do is a hammer fret job, which basically I take that nice Stu-Mac dead blow hammer is really nice for this. And I don't use the brass side, I use the plastic side, because one thing about the imports and the cheap, and these Chipsons and Chinders and Ch-Ibanez, the fret wire is, man, it'll take a dent fast. It is the softest wire I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what they got in it, but it dang sure ain't nickel silver. Or, well, if it is, it's probably got more tin and lead than anything. But anyway, I'll go through, rock the fingerboard, and tap instead of file. So, because they're not glued in, you know they're not. And then I try to deal with the sharp fret edges. That was the other thing on this one. When I picked it up, I could feel the fret edges, and I'm like, that's not characteristic of a $2,500 guitar. So, anyhow, that is my 10 minutes of buyer beware. This is the third fake that I've had in here this year. Not China cheapy, because I mean, every Epiphone and every Squire that comes through the door is in the China cheapy class. But the funny thing is the Epiphone that comes through that you buy from Guitar Center for $250, $350, it is what it is. You know what it is. When you set it up, they typically set up pretty decent. You know, it's like, and I'll do the hammer fret job on those guys if they need it. If you got a wild fret, and you can take care of it for the customer real inexpensively, because I'm charging bench time. I don't want to, you know, go through the whole filing and polishing and all that. You guys are seeing the glare on my glasses. But when you get one of these knockoffs in, they don't give two craps about how it plays. I mean, that's the honest truth. They want to make sure it looks like what they're copying, and basically that it makes sound and plays. And that's it. And the other ones, they have a mandate from the mothership to make them play right. There is no mothership with this except the guy holding his hand out trying to get the wallet. The other thing that on this, and I'm no Floyd Rose guy either, but when I look through the hole here, you can clearly see that this is a rough cast block that the springs are attached to, that on the tremolo. And I do know that, and this is a licensed buy, and it even says on there licensed under a Floyd Rose patent, but I'm pretty sure on these Jems that they are using a full-blown, the big dog stuff, which would be a full steel machined block on the back. That's what gives the real Floyd Rose. And the high-end ones, I think a Floyd Rose, man, I think they're $280 for the bridge or something like that. They're definitely not cheap. But you can buy a licensed one for $39 from All Parts, or $49 or $59, whatever, less than $100. You can get an entire locking tremolo system that is licensed to buy, and all that means is they basically use their patent, which is the pivot point, and it looks like them and all that. Doesn't mean it's quality at all. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. And I'm going to try my best to set the little thing up and send it back. And I'm sure there might be some haters saying, oh, you're supposed to label it faker or fake or something and deface the instrument, but it's not mine. I am so not doing that. I'm going to inform the customer. He owns this guitar, good, bad, better, or worse. He got screwed, and I hate that for him. I'm not going to further mess his life up by making him either, I'm not going to work on it, I'm not going to set it up. He owns it, he's stuck with it. It's not like he call the law and say, hey man, I bought a fake. It's what are they going to do, drive over to China in the middle of Corona? Woof. That's the worst thing they gave to us. Anyway, I'm going to set it up the best I can, inform the customer, unfortunately. And I hated to do it while he was standing there. I had 2 other people in the shop, and I'm like, man, where did you buy this? And he's like, oh, I got it online. I got a really good deal. So I never did find out. When I get him alone, when he comes to pick it, well, I got to call him first. I'm going to tell him what I'm going to do before I do anything to it, other than evaluate it. And I'm going to find out exactly what method or where. He probably bought it on eBay, because there's a lot of cats on there that it's coming straight from China, you know. So that's a little bit of a clue right there. These are Japanese instruments. I'm like, Japanese instrument from China. But anyway, that is my little Corona update. How's that? And I'm well, happy, healthy, and the fam is all healthy, thank God. So everything's going good. You guys stay strong. and everybody's bored, and to sit through this nonsense for 15 minutes, you must be really bored. So I'll post up another couple of nonsense videos just so that y'all have something to do in your spare time. All right, peace out.